Wiikwemkoong Unceded Territory. Menage Penewagi Bekeda, Gaiwikagi, Daisin Mandamnes.
Bonjour, Ogimaa Duke Peltier Indigenous, Wiikwemkoong Unceded. Min nangwa winastona on the Anishinaabe gigat. Migwechke na vid zindajgek, mina nomjegek manda mampi your morning. Chimigwech.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I am Ben Mulrooney.
And good morning to you. I'm Anne-Marie Meadowake. We are so honored to have you with us, Chief Peltier. Welcome. You opened up our show in your Indigenous language. Can you tell us what you said?
I brought some greetings on behalf of myself and our people, and what I asked is telling that we're here to celebrate the International Indigenous Day.
And we're also going to be talking to you a little bit later in just a few moments about National Aboriginal Peoples Day and about a new technology that's going to help hopefully preserve these ancient languages.
Yes, we launched a new program that we're hopefully to assist the general public as well as our own people in using technology-based, and we're calling it a challenge for change. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a lot of hard work,
It's going to take a lot of discussion. It's going to take a lot of building relationships. And from there, the path will identify itself on how those relationships can evolve into true working relationships to address economic development in each of our regions. There's a wealth of experience that exists in First Nation communities, and I think the whole thing is if you lend a helping hand to someone, give them a hand up, they're gonna appreciate that, and that essentially is the vision of reconciliation, where we have our First Nations people being given real opportunity to create their own destinies through those partnerships that are created with many of the corporations that are operating in our territories, and regardless of what sector they're in.
These islands have never been surrendered or sold. We have never surrendered or sold any of our land.
To cede means to give away. Unceded means not give it away, you know. It's kind of a weird word. I mean, when you give something, that doesn't mean you're selling it, you know. So it's taken away anyway.
I'm Duke Peltier, the elected chief of Wiikwemkoong Unceded Territory. Been in that capacity now for the last, since 2012. Had a prior stint as a council member, and been on as a member of the council and as a councillor and chief now for the last 12 years. So I've been a willing participant in community development of Wiikwemkoong Unceded Territory. I've always get asked the question about what's with the unceded title of your community, and many other nations do carry a title of unceded, but ours is definitely in a unique situation. From the perspective of the general characterization of unceded is that there was no land transaction that has taken place. In our situation, our circumstances, the facts of the history of our people is that the unceded nature and title that we carry is as a result of us refusing any of the deals that the Crown has been proposing during treaty making times in early Confederate history.
My children, 70 snow seasons have now passed away since we met in council at the Crooked Place, at which time and place your great father, the King, and the Indians of North America tied their hands together by the wampum of friendship.
Wampum belts not only signify an agreement, but they also depict that a relationship has been established, a relationship that is to be based on peace, respect, and friendship. This wampum belt is called the 24 Nation Wampum Belt, or the Annual Presence Wampum Belt. Upon this belt is a chain that is secured around a rock, representing North America. Attached to the end of the chain is a British vessel ship, running through the hands of those 24 nations. This belt is interpreted to signify the understanding and agreement that annual presents would always be given to the participating First Nations by the King.
I'm serious about the whole notion that everybody's talking about TRC, talking about residential school, yes, but there was things that have happened prior to then that started that ball roll, and that had probably far more detrimental impacts to our communities as opposed to just the residential school. It doesn't start there, it's not going to end there, it's always been my perspective and opinion that I'm not going to dwell in that dark area of history, because I prefer to put my efforts into more positive aspects, because I'm going to create more change that way. People can dwell on problems if they choose to. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm always been a firm believer, like there's obviously solutions to some of these things. Not to discount what's happened, but there are probably more far-reaching positive outcomes that can come by concentrating on some of the solutions. Whether it's reintegration back into the economy, creating institutions, learning institutions, and allowing our people to actually see positive role modeling in their communities and in the society. I think those are going to have a far greater impact than addressing some of the other things. And trauma doesn't define our people.
Yeah.
It's never going to define our people. And if someone listens, they're going to hear that message too, that yes, we acknowledge, we accept, it's happened, but let's work together, because we want to ensure that those kinds of things do not happen again.
We are people that we don't own land and we don't own water. we all live in harmony with the animals. And we were instructed by the Creator to live in harmony with our land and our water. I'm just looking at my husband's paintings. He has passed on, and he's looking at the thunderbird, and you could see the animals and the reflection of the nurturing of the man and wife, and the reflection of helping one another. And that's how we represented ourselves as Anishinaabe people.
Many things to many different people for many different reasons. There is no clear job description of what a chief does in a community. A chief can do as much or as little as they wish. Those that seem to get things done are very hardworking, and they have been listening to what their people's needs are, and they're willing to put the time and effort in to address those needs. The way I've understood my role, how I've been taught, what I've accepted on behalf of, accepted as part of this responsibility that I'm doing, it is a responsibility to the people of our community and to the future generations to make sure that we put into place protections, make sure that the community is feasible, self-sufficient, and governing itself in a good way. And part of a lot of my role is to ensure that the council that supports me, I'm a voice of the council, the lead voice of the council, is also elected along with the council to bring the voices of our people out to where we need to for that to happen.
My mother had told me that there was a big meeting. They were going to sign the treaties on Beauty Island in Manitoulin Bay. And something happened in Wiikwemkoong, so all the people from Wiikwemkoong had to come back home. And all the people that, the other people from the other reserves stayed. And the next morning when the people from Wiikwemkoong came back, everybody was drunk and all the treaties were already signed. So they just turned around and walked away.
I would always like to say the Maker of Life had it so darn good for us at one point in time. When He created us Anishinabek. You know, gave us the language that we're going to use, gave us the belief system, gave us the medicines, gave us the means of how to survive. You know, all these things were put into place. So we've had our own culture. We got our own. To this day, we still have our own culture. It's not that we're here by chance.
Wind blowing on my face, sidewalk flying beneath my bike. A 5-year-old's first taste of what freedom's really like. He was running right beside me, his hand holding on the seat. I took a deep breath and hollered as I headed for the street. You can let go now, Daddy. You can let go. Oh, I think I'm ready to do this on my own. It's still a little bit scary, but I want you to know I'll be okay now, Daddy. You can let go. I was standing at the altar between the two loves of my life. To one I've been a daughter, to one I soon would be a wife. When the preacher asked who gives this woman, Daddy's eyes filled up with tears. He kept holding tightly to my arm till I whispered in his ear, you can let go now, Daddy. You can let go. Oh, I think I'm ready to do this on my own. It still feels a little bit scary, but I want you to know I'll be okay now, Daddy. You can let go. It was killing me to see the strongest man I ever knew wasting away to nothing in that hospital room. You know he's only hanging on for you, that's what the night nurse said. My voice and heart were breaking as I crawled up in his bed and said, you can let go now, Daddy. You can let go. Your little girl is ready to do this on my own. It's gonna be a little bit scary, but I want you to know I'll be okay now, Daddy. You can let go. You can let go.
Yeah, good luck, gentlemen.
So our community still remains a nation without an actual treaty that we have signed with the Crown. Many other communities that carry unceded, for instance, like in British Columbia, their territories are unceded, but there was no treaty-making exercises that took place. Many of the pre-Confederation treaties that exist in Southern Ontario and into the Maritimes were mainly peace and friendship type treaties that didn't deal with any land. So their unceded is obviously different than ours. In ours, we actively opposed, refused, protested, and continue to protest to this day, to the point that we entered into litigation in 1997 after repeated attempts to continue or arrive at a resolution with the Crown to address our land issues in the community. And through the litigation, we were successful in attaining an interim court ruling that identified our clear interest to the territory from Tenatangwisheen all the way to Sault Ste. Marie in Lake Huron and all the islands in between. After 20 years, we're still negotiating with the federal and provincial governments, and it's been our clear mandate from our people that we have no interest in seeking out or having any agreement that the sole basis is for financial compensation, but our interest is in retaining and getting the land returned back to us that should never have been alienated from our nation. So that is what our unceded is, and that's what we continue to pursue. And with willing participants at a negotiating table, we will resolve that hopefully in my lifetime.
Canada is a country made up of a diverse population of people from many different cultures and backgrounds. Our rich history is a collection of historical events and partnerships that built the foundation of Canada and brings us here together today. Our journey started on equal footing, and now we must retrace those footsteps and move forward once again in a partnership based on good faith and mutual respect. Every interaction with this intention in mind, big or small, unites us. I truly believe that the more we get to know each other, the more we will understand, the more we will respect one another, and the more connected we will feel. Indigenous peoples are the fastest growing segment of the country's population. We live in both rural and major urban areas. We are your neighbors, your co-workers, the organizations you work with, both now and we hope into the future. As we look to the future, we need to build Canada's leadership together at every level of society. And to become strong individuals and leaders, our people need opportunities, mentorship, support, and the ability to reclaim our identity. Our Indigenous youth want to reach their full potential. To do this, they need to understand their history and culture, who they are, where they came from, how they learned, and in many ways, through our language and teachings. Our Anishinaabe language was once the everyday language of our community and all around the Great Lakes watershed, which is a vast area. Unfortunately, there's a significant decrease of fluent speakers, and we are now in serious danger of losing the language. It was our elders who told the stories and legends and passed on our traditions. However, the number of elders is now rapidly declining, and so too is our opportunity to capture and retain a core part of what defines us, our oral heritage. We need to act now, and you can help us with this critical step on our journey forward. With either a sponsorship or a donation, as well as getting your employees on board in an engaging way, you can help to retain our language and culture. We would appreciate that very much. Let's challenge ourselves to be the drivers for positive change. Thank you, Miigwech.
Watch the sky, thoughts that arise. Watching, I'm watching through your eyes. What's the morning?
The word unceded and the word Wiikwemkoong will always travel together. They've traveled together from the earliest of Wiikwemkoong's oral teachings, and they travel together today.